Hi. Welcome everyone. Is it a bit warm in here?
Just
Yeah. Just turn them on.
Just turn them on, yeah.
Thanks. Class 8. It began like just by one class, right? And I hope your minds have something new in them that you put in there. Let's step into that mindset you're creating slowly. I had a beautiful meditation this morning about this class. And I realized that every meditation we do, you're actually stepping into the foundation of your Buddhahood. And if you can maintain that mindset, if you can grow it beautifully each time, each one of you can become that Buddha that you're building. So each time your mind enters that zone, even if it's a tiny minute, it's actually the beginning of that being that you can become. That's how you shift into it. So I'm really looking forward to today's meditation. If I didn't just jinx it. So take a comfortable seated position. The one you imagine your Buddha body taking. And just let it lock in there, because that body that you're in at the moment is just going to hold your mind as it grows this thing. Make sure you're comfortable, that you don't have a wallet lifted one side of your bum. And for those of you who haven't done any sitting posture study, it's good to spread those cheeks a little bit. And you could do that by either turning your thigh either way, yeah, and then making sure the back part of your coccyx is a little kinked back. That just gives you that lift. Yeah? Did I just say that wrong?
No, I don't think so. I think I heard it wrong.
Yeah, you did. Okay. So then once that part of your body is locked in, it's locked in. And then your back will naturally want to sit there, and you can have your hands out here or here. The idea is that you're going to forget this body in a second. And then the focus will be on that thing that interprets all the things the body does. So let's start the class. Michael?
Sashi
Ukir Jichin Metokam Viral Shin Embody Sangha Shindu Mite Vargi Drokun Nanda Shinla Chipasho Hiranguru Ratnamandala Kamninyatayami
Sangye
Chirang Zaki Chognam Janju Vardu Lakni Yosuchi Dagi Chinyen Gipe Sonam Ki Drola Vanchir Sangye Ripasho
Sangye
Chirang Saki Shognam Janchu Vardu Dakni Gyapsuchi Daki Shinyen Gipe Sonam Ki Drola Vanchir Sangye Ripasho
Sangye
Chirang Saki Choknam Janchu Vardu Dakni Gyapsuchi Daki Chenyen Gi Pe Sonam Gi Drola Benshir Sangye Drupar Sho. And don't forget to turn off your mobile phones. Okay. So let's return to that seated position. Make sure your back is straight. That energy of who you are will flow in that center line. So imagine being pulled from the tip of your head upwards. And start drawing in that energy. You're about to enter that zone. Step into that being that you will become. And get familiar with that state of mind. Begin by focusing on your breathing as you breathe out and in. It's a one. And focus just on the sensation of the breath for a few rounds until you are centered. Allow your mind to scan your body from the inside and remove any tension, particularly around your face, your brow, your eyelids, the corners of your mouth, relaxed, almost in a smile. And when you connect with that mind that is aware, slide that mind on that breath as it enters and exits your nostrils. Focus on the contact between the mind and the breath, and keep it connected. Now bring your mind's attention on your motivation for being here. And listen to your mind as if nobody else could hear your answer. It's just between you and you. And get the most honest and real answer you can get. And be glad for the honesty. Just watch it as an answer. Allow your mind to move around that answer, your motivation, until you get some clarity. And then quite simply imagine that you achieve that result. You actually get what motivated you to come. Imagine that state of mind. Allow yourself to feel fulfillment and present. And then imagine that everybody around you actually got what they wanted, like you just did. Feel a happiness for them like the one you felt for you. Imagine a room full of people that were content, didn't need to seek anymore. Now invite your Lama, your teacher, to come and teach you. Come and be with you, just you and them. They appear in front of you, seated opposite you, your knees almost touching. It's very personal. This is the highest idea of a person or a being you can imagine. Try and feel their presence. If it's like a gravity in front of you, a warmth, or a scent, or interpret any sound at all as the movement of them. And feel happy to be together, they are happy to be with you. And just for a moment, be happy to be in front of each other. Feel their happiness for you and you for them, for their presence. Now think of an amazing quality, something you revere about them, something that makes them utterly unique to you. Be happy for that. Think how amazing that is for you to experience that and for somebody to have that quality. Feel a humble appreciation for that it's possible. And because of that, you have this wish to give them something that would please them and make them an offering, whether it's the most precious moment you saw or felt today, or the efforts towards becoming a better person yourself. Offer them that. There's nothing that makes them happier. Or the most beautiful thing you can imagine. Imagine that they see and feel it like you imagine it. And they're filled with happiness. they're happy. Now think of some negative action of mind or speech or body that you did today, something that you regret. That if you think through on cause and effect, if it had a negative impact in the world, if it was a moment of anger or hatred, jealousy or selfishness that could have hurt another being, and you caught yourself too late. Watch it. Be clear about what it was. Think of the impact on the other people around you. But ultimately think of the impact of the imprint on your mind, that it could grow, that it will grow. And you must experience the results of that action in your consciousness. And in doing so, feel a deep sense of regret. Like you drank something that you didn't know was poison. And by the time it was already swallowed, you realized it was too late. And you wish it out. Feel a deep sense of regret for having done that. And share it with that being in front of you. Make some kind of promise not to do that again. Even if it's for a short time, make a promise you can keep. To yourself in front of them. And think of something you could do sometime soon that would counteract that. Something that's the opposite of that. Whether it's a practical gesture or a symbolic gesture or a commitment to do some other action dedicated to erasing that from your consciousness. In doing so, you'll progress. So now think of the opposite. There's some magnificent thing you did today, something that will bear fruit as a positive result in your consciousness. Some clear goodness that you did towards another. Some moment of helping another being get happy. Whether you offered your time, whether you said a kind word. Where you gave somebody an opportunity to get happy, or you made efforts towards getting happy yourself, with other people in mind. Try and relive that moment, some goodness you did today. And think through it logically. It must also bear fruit in your consciousness. It must also grow in your stream of mind. And it will expand. And it will produce a bliss, a happiness of the same flavor but larger the more you feed it. And share that with the being in front of you, and together rejoice about that. Be happy. This is the course of your enlightenment. It's a virtue. refocus on that feeling together and feel it growing in your chest, at the level of your heart, slightly back towards the spine. Feel it like a warmth. It's a spark of goodness. It will grow. It's intense and bright. And be happy you have that. And now think of other people in the world who have done a good thing to stop pain, to give love, to cure sickness, to help a friend. Think of the thousands and millions of selfless acts that are happening in the world today that go unaccounted for, and imagine them as those lights in people's hearts around the globe, shining, and that's all you could see. These anonymous goodnesses around the world, covering the planet. These are the potentials for Buddhism. Feel happy that that's there, that they can grow. And then think of one quality that you want to develop that will help you step further into a place where you can yourself become a being like the one you see in front of you. Think of the one quality you wish to develop in the next month or two, and ask them please to teach you, to remind you at every instant. And you see them agreeing, you know that they will be in your mind, imbuing you with that quality at every turn as you wake and go about your day, as you sleep, that quality will be built in you through every interaction, good and bad. Then ask them please to stay close to you. And they lean forward and they agree. And as they do, they start to rise and turn and shrink and sit just above the tip of your head. You feel their presence there, just above the tip of your head. Every good quality you imagine in them, just ready to touch you. When you're ready, just open your eyes. Quizzes and homework's all done? Yeah? Thank you for that meditation, by the way. It was very quiet and lovely. So I hope it was as good for you as it appeared to me. So last class was called review class, because that's all we did. But the reason I did that is I wanted you to learn something. I wanted you to actually have something that if we never met again, you could have something in your mind that you could keep. That belonged to you because you came to it as an idea or realization or rationalization or something. So I'm very keen for you to actually internalize these things and make sense of them in your work. And that's why I tend to do the over-review. So not to lose the tradition. I can already see the eyes rolling. Somebody please put up your hand and tell me the text we're studying, please. Someone. Thank you, Michael. I don't want you. Someone. Lamrim. It's a lamrim. It's not that one. Lamtso Namsum. Yeah, what's it mean? 3 principal parts. Yeah. It's good. It's a lamrim. What's a lamrim mean? Yeah, steps on the path. Good. Who wrote it? Je Tsongkapa. Important being. Yeah, important being in your thing. What's the next thing? Class 2, we learned about what? Actually, no. Good. Thank you, Michael. What are the 3 principal parts? Let's go. Matt.
Renunciation.
Renunciation.
Bodhicitta. And correct view.
I'm not going to go into what they mean because I know you do know these things. Yeah. Thank you. Then we talked about a little bit about how to produce the body of a Buddha, but how do you become a Buddha? The collection of merit and collection of wisdom, which relate to the 3 principal parts. How? So there's a point to this, it's steps on the path because you've got to step on that one to get to that one to get to that one. That's what's beautiful about Lamrims. So, collection of merit and collection of wisdom relate to deeds and actions of body and mind. Yeah, one produces the mind of the Buddha, one produces the body of the Buddha. I'm so glad you're all so clever about it. What makes a good Dharma student?
Be open.
Yeah, good. No preconceptions. Actually come with an idea to learn something.
Intelligence.
Yeah, intelligence. I love the intelligence idea here, so let's see if that got transferred to your brain somehow. Someone?
High ideals.
The last one is higher ideals, but what's intelligence mean?
Willing to apply logic to your life.
Yeah. So life works in a certain way. The way it's working doesn't seem to quite work out all the time. Yeah? We're still suffering creatures. Things break down. Intelligence in this sense, a Dharma student that has intelligence can go through a logical understanding of where things come from, which will be understanding the 3rd principal path predominantly, will be understanding correct view. Can actually logically get that and say, I'm going to live my life according to this logic. If things happen this way and it makes total 100% sense to me, I have to live my life through that logic. Even though everything else in my experience informs me that if someone hurts me, I've got to hurt them back. If someone yells at me, I've got to yell at them. If I want something, I've got to try and grasp at it before somebody else gets it. Which is all that our society and our culture is inculcating in us just through growing up. Yeah. I mean, it's not just us. It's cats and dogs. And amoeba and the rest. Intelligence here means the capacity to say, I've just figured something out. This is how things really work, I think. I've got some kind of correct view, correct about the way things work. And despite the currents, I'm swimming upstream. Yeah? As all the dead fish hit your face. You've got to try and save them to turn them around. Then we talked about stopping desire for this life. Then we talked about stopping desire for the next life. And we had to talk a little bit about past and future lives. But then we talked about karma. 4 principles of karma. Who can remember those? Lucky I remember. Karma gross is one of them. Good. I don't care if they're not in order. Yeah.
Certain.
It's certain. It's definite. Yeah. Gigo. Do good. Get good. Do bad. That's not gigo, is it? Good in, good out. Garbage in, garbage out. Yeah. So, sorry. Yeah. So, I mean, it's apple tree comes from apple seed. Yeah. You can't get another kind of tree from that kind of seed. It's in everywhere. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So it's definite. It has the same flavor. What was it? It grows like seeds. Yeah. Just look at your bodies. I mean, we accept it in science. Physically, you are a bunch of cells all put together, bones and teeth and hair and guts and goo. And all that came from a sperm and an egg. Tiny, tiny seeds, big result. Compared to the physical beginnings of that thing that's your body. Yeah. Mentally the same. You know, you could go ga ga, goo goo, berry, and then all of a sudden you have a vocabulary. Some of you in more than one language, and some of you your own bloody vocabularies that no one understands. I think I was talking about me. Then what's the other two?
Can't if you don't plant it, it doesn't.
Yeah, if you don't put an apple seed in the ground, you ain't getting an apple tree. Yep, and the next one is if you put an apple seed in the apple ground, in the fertile ground, you will get an apple tree. This has big implications and you're not going to get it now. And you know, frankly, I don't think I've got this fully. Yeah, actually I don't think I've got this. I continue to bump my experience. I keep swimming, turning around and swimming back. And I go, woo, that's good. You swim a little bit out and you go, oh, that's a nice little rock. You know? The implication here is that everything that you're experiencing now is caused by you. Everything. Everything. You can't reject it. That's the implication. That's a big implication, and you're not supposed to believe it because I said it or because some dude wrote it in a book. You have to come to it. But if you're seeking meaning in the way these things work, the world around you works, there's a law there that you should check out in depth. And if you're not getting what you want, the implication is you didn't plant the causes.
Can I ask a question?
No. Yeah. This isn't a no question. Yeah.
So, like with the direct perception of emptiness, we talk about it and, you know, intellectually, but then we also talk about the experience of it. Mm-hmm. So with karma, to really understand it, do you have to have had an experience and then realize what the seed was? I mean, is it the same idea that you have to like have that realization of understanding what's...
Explain the question again.
In the same way that like intellectualizing karma and talking about it, as with direct perception of emptiness, and then there's that direct perception of actually having it. Is it the same with karma that you have to karma? Yeah.
Yeah. Before you have the direct perception of emptiness, you have a direct perception of dependent origination. So you actually see how you actually have that experiential experience, that experience of how that thing appeared to you, like you would seeing emptiness directly, but you actually see karma breakdown. Yeah, and that can only come from you doing the logical thinking about it. We do it all the time when we do it to different levels, right? You have a sense, oh, that happened because of this flavor, but it's got this uncertainty about it, this faith, right? That's not a bad thing, you know. It's but you got to just be ever watchful. Are you are you believing because it's nice, butterflies, crystals, you know? Or is it because you understood a logic and you're swimming against the current, and then this is a little bit of evidence of that? Yeah, and I can't do that practice for you. Nobody can do it for you. Nobody else is responsible for getting you enlightened. Nobody can be inside you, not even your mum, who loves you more than you love you. You know, no one's going to say, "Oh yeah, I figured it out for you. Here's the answer. Do this." So, but absolutely, yeah. Good question, because I knew the answer.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Only if I had the answer.
I mean, you sort of answered it for me, but I want to put it out there anyway for other people like myself who are dealing with this. It's all about me. Yeah, I'm going through like a pretty intense period of suffering right now, and I don't understand it. It's been prolonged. It's something that's afflicted me on and off throughout my life. And a lot of it is things that happen, not things that I made a decision and brought things on myself. But the effects linger. I don't understand it. And is basically what you're talking about, the same sort of phenomenon, that it's all internal. It's all because of how I am or am not processing things. I mean, I don't understand it. I mean, literally, it's got me completely stumped. I'm at a brick wall.
It's not all internal, right? Because I can throw a brick in your head and it will hurt your head. So that appears external, you know. Yeah. So there's stuff. There is stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
But that
I can't believe that it's all internal. I mean,
yeah. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. You know, it would be wrong to believe. I mean, you are living in an experiential world. You know, so my similar argument to yours when I started learning these things is, you know, then if I figured out how to do it, I would walk in front of a bus and it wouldn't hurt me because it doesn't exist. You know, it's actually a nihilist perspective, something that when you begin to understand and decode what we're talking about. As you decode it for you, you will come up to your limits, and everybody will, unless they're already very wise, come to these two extremes, and will joggle between these two extremes when we begin to understand karma and emptiness. And the first extreme is, if everything is produced karmically because things don't have a nature of their own, then nothing really exists, unless it's a big nothingness and it's all internal and I'm just having a mind-screwed moment. But as somebody who's putting a knife through your hand, that's difficult to maintain. You know, that view that everything's internal. You know, You're actually feeling something. That is produced by something. That sensation and the physical experience is produced by something. We won't answer it today, but you will get through, when we go through course 4, I think it's karma, you will get a much deeper sense of what this is. Look, let's imagine that you weren't in a space where you're at least trying to investigate why these things are happening, which is already an advancement to most people just trying to run away from things happening. You're actually going, what's causing this to happen, which is a commendable thing. For the majority of people, I'll either drink it away or I'll turn around and ignore it and do a bunch of things to avoid seeing it. So you're already, even though you're hurting, you're already looking for some kind of answer, and that itself is a virtue. That seeking will produce a result.
Yeah, because I have to admit, in every other aspect of my life, just like I spoke to you early on, Buddhism has this opened doors for me that I never knew could be opened, and it's been incredibly positive. But there's one way, there's one obstacle that is so hard, so fraught with pain, it's almost evil in its insidiousness that I can't meditate it. It won't allow me to open it. And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm going to keep coming.
I commend you for facing it, for facing it. But I hope that answered a little bit about it. It's not just mental, okay? You have an experience of stuff that is also produced by something. So that was class 6. Last class was a review of all that in detail. Do you remember that class? Yeah, because we just did it again. Thanks. We talked about bodhicitta, which was, is it up there? Yeah, it's Jung Sen, right? What's Jung mean? Jung in Tibetan is bodhi in Sanskrit, which is mind. Yeah, chitta, which is sen.
Mind.
Oh, sorry, chitta is mind.
So bodhi is
Jung.
pure enlightenment.
Yeah, Jung, sorry. Jung is chitta.
It's chitta.
Yeah, my reverse. Thank you. So does it mean you have the mind of a Buddha? What does it mean?
You have the wish.
You have the mindset to become a Buddha,
Wish.
right? Yeah, the wish. Excellent. What's the definition of bodhicitta? Does anyone know? Because those people that have done some study before would know.
The wish to achieve enlightenment for the sake of all other beings.
Yep, the wish to become enlightenment. I'm having a language problem today. The wish to reach enlightenment for the sake of every other living being or other living beings. Okay. For those of you who care, Jung comes from Jung Chu, which means to clean, and Jung means to clean and Chub means to comprehend or understand. So that's where Jung comes from. And so if you've junged something, if you've cleaned it, you've cleaned 2 things that would allow you to become a Buddha. Do you remember what those 2 things are that you need to clean away or get junged? 2 obstacles, right? One is
Omniscience.
obstacles to omniscience, and the other one? Negative emotions. Yeah, good. Negative thoughts. Emotions. Thank you, Michael. And Sen comes from Semke, which is mind. So let's talk a little bit about bodhicitta, wish to achieve enlightenment for the sake of all beings. We talked about the first principal path being what? Renunciation. You've got to have this state of mind. Without it, you can't get bodhicitta, right? Bodhicitta and renunciation are the same thing. It's the same state of mind. It's sick and tired of what?
Suffering.
Of suffering. It also starts with S. Samsara. Good. What's samsara?
Cycle of life where things keep breaking.
Cycle of life where things keep breaking, but specifically
Suffering cycle.
suffering cycle. Who is samsara? Yeah, our very existence is samsara. It's the dirty heaps. Yeah? Is that screaming
I
again?
was just thinking of Sam and Sarah for some reason. Who is Sam and Sarah? I don't know.
Do you want to sit here?
No. I really
I would have thought of that.
I think you
Who is
would
Sam and Sarah? Anyone? I wish I'd thought of that. I rejoice that somebody else made a funny joke. And it wasn't me. Thank you. Oh dear. Sam's in silent retreat, which is really beautiful. Yeah.
Except you texted me.
No, he sent me an email. That's as silent as Sam can get. So it's the same flavor. One, renunciation is pointed towards yourself, and bodhicitta is just taking that same feeling to the next level to go, I am not alone on the planet, right? It's gone, I'm sick and, yep.
It's this week in particular, there's sort of this recurrent person in my life that really challenges how to practice bodhicitta. So I'm trying to reframe it as a gift to practice what I'm learning, but it's really hard.
Yeah.
Especially when there's like moments of feeling like this person is divisive and it's like really negative, not just kind of like a thoughtless person, but someone who actively sabotages things and splits and very, very negative. And so I'm sort of on the other end of it and seeing it happen both to myself and others and trying to see how can I engage it in a different way, because the way I have been engaging it hasn't necessarily worked. So, any tips?
Any tips? It's early days, you know, so I know that many of you have studied before, so I'll talk a little bit about it, but it's early days. A, don't give yourself a hard time, okay? Allow yourself to make mistakes in your capacity for dealing with, because he's not going to be the first shitty person you encounter, yeah? Or she. And they agree. So, A, remove the tendency to go, I have to get it right in this one interaction with this one being, otherwise something bad. Yeah? So, A, get rid of that. B, realize that just engaging with them to trying to figure it out is a virtue. You're actually planting a goodness to try and deconstruct and figure it out. Most people, you're already a step ahead of your conditioning, which is to hit them in the head. Yeah? Or scratch them, or pull their hair, or whatever you do.
Or
Yeah?
taunt them.
Yeah, or taunt them, yeah.
Because how are you looking at the food?
Yeah. You can ask, yeah.
So I think it's a very hard balance, at least for me.
Yeah.
You know, because what you're saying is kind of very scary, too. You know?
I'm not saying be submissive. Yeah?
No, what you're saying about karma overall, like
Yeah.
this new idea that every second I'm planting so many things, that's gonna be the future, that's gonna come back to me so much bigger. It's just, it's so scary, and I don't know how to deal with it without being scared. And then the fear is a negative energy that comes to my life. You know?
The constriction is, but the fact that you're trying is not. The effort is a goodness.
Yes, but it becomes a little obsessive, as much as I don't want it to be.
Yeah.
And you know, it becomes like a mind
Yeah.
puzzle and mind game instead of.
So I would refer you to the first advice I gave her, which is to don't give yourself a hard time. Just relax around it. Try something. Like, who's ever made a mistake in the room about anything? I like that you didn't put your hand up. What's a mistake? You know. At the same time, who has actually had? Think about it. Who has grown the most from understanding a mistake that you've made in your life? Who's like had a realization that I should shift the way I do things because you've tripped and fallen and yet had some massive error in your life, right? So is the mistake a bad thing?
If it traumatizes you.
But if it gives you a realization?
Depends on,
Yeah? So does traumatizing and realizations come from mistakes? It comes from something else, right? But it doesn't seem that way in the out of sync movie we're in. And when you understand that, and you're not going to, so you've gotten a slight peek into a doorway of a different way of looking at the world. And we've been habituated in a certain way for our entire history. So somebody being you have opened a doorway into a different way of understanding the world. That little doorway peak is not going to deliver to you immediately every single realization and result and comfort to just ride into that new reality. Yeah? Just like planting a seed or a field or a massive side of a hill that's covered in beautiful flowers, and having planted those seeds is not going to happen in a day. You're not going to plant an entire field of your entire mountain range in a day with seeds. It will take time. And by the time you finish planting the last seed, the weeds at the bottom of the hill have already grown into trees. Yeah? So you're going to have to go back and get rid of some of those trees. But there will come a time after you've invested enough energy and effort in changing that hillside that you'll look back and it will be covered in flowers. All of it will be transformed to whatever you've planted. But that planting from plant to flowering will take time. So if you start getting the first weed appearing, as you decided you've peeked into this idea that you could utterly change your experience, which is what you've gotten, and you're all excited about it, it's a goodness, yeah? And if you begin, as you're planting those beautiful flowers or trees with fragrant, I want to tell you about this movie called Bliss. I'll tell you about this movie called Bliss because this will give you an idea of what I'm talking about. As you plant this magnificent field of something, you're going to come with obstacles, and it would appear as a person or people that challenge you, yeah, because you've decided you're going to be happy, and then someone's in your face going, ha, you know.
Sorry, that was on mute. It's not okay.
It's fine. So you started planting your field, and you see some potential of buds coming up, and you're excited. Yeah, you hear about this planting idea. Yeah. Someone tells you that if you, was it Geshe that said? So, you know, before. Now I'm telling 3 stories.
As long as they're good.
Yeah, let's see your capacity to catch all 3, right? So I'll do the 3 stories. In the movie called Bliss, this man falls in love with this woman, and they have a falling out. And this woman raises bees because she thinks honey has a special quality of healing, and she's passionate about honey. And she lives out in the bush and a bit of a hippie, and the honey's not too great because there's drought and the rest. So this guy starts coming close to her property, and she yells at him, "Piss off! F off! And leave me alone!" And you see him circling her property, and he's digging around the rocks, and then the rocks fall, and you know, he becomes like a bit of an environmentalist. He starts planting trees everywhere, and she thinks he's following him around. So that's the first story, which I'll continue in the middle of the second story, which is you planting your field, yeah? And in that field, your first weed appears. You're excited that you're going to get this result, but then you turn around and there's these weeds that have just taken over the area that you've planted such good seeds, yeah? And then what if learning how to remove that type of weed from your garden actually helps you clear all the other weeds that will come up the hill later? Then that first moment was actually a blessing because you've figured something out. On the third story, for those that are following, right? Imagine the human race before we had agriculture. You know, you'd see a bunch of wild grass that you could get rice from, and you'd grab it, you'd cut it, you'd eat it, you'd cook it. And then some idiot would have an idea to say, save 10% of that, throw it onto the ground, cover it with dirt, don't eat it, that rice that you found, yeah, that's precious food, put more dirt on it, and wait. Imagine the first time somebody did that. You'd go, don't be retarded. You've got to eat it. The worms are going to eat it, and the ants are going to eat it, and I'm not going to have any. No, save 10% and throw it back in the ground. And then sometime later you turn around and you have 100 times.
What is that action of throwing it back?
It's planting karmas when you see goodnesses come your way. So I'm trying to say you've got an opportunity here to experience. You're going to experience the grass that pops up, yeah. And in the first story, where her name was Honey Barbara, she was really upset. She was getting really crappy honey, and it was 20 years on. The visitor kept coming in her parameter, and One day she's mixing the honey expecting crappy honey, and it was the most magnificent honey she had ever tasted. She'd never had that kind of honey before. And it took her a little while to connect the dots that the guy wasn't just harassing her, he was planting trees that took 20 years to deliver the love letter that he was writing her. And then she had a forest of trees. It takes time to practice these things. Yeah? So it takes time to change your world. And if it was easy, which it can get later on, yeah, we wouldn't have so many lists. Yeah, so I hope that helps. Don't give yourself a hard time. Allow yourself to experience the moment of this negative thing. Watch yourself label it negative thing. Swap yourself for them. We'll talk about it today a little bit. Yeah, maybe this will give you some ideas. Renunciation, bodhicitta. Same feeling, one directed to you, the other one directed to all the other people who are in the same boat as you. A way to cure any kind of self, oh my God, my life is going terrible, I'm really suffering. Yeah? We all have it. But a quick way, a short way to short circuit is try and imagine if there's anybody else that could possibly have slightly worse things happening to them than you. And it's not like, oh yeah, I can do that. Actually think about it. For them, what it would be like to be them. And then all of a sudden, your flavor has a bit less bitterness to it. It's not a long-term fix, yeah, if you have it in that kind of way, but it helps you get past the moment. And there's a bunch of other things that help you get past the moment. I'm still reviewing the last class, by the way. If you have bodhicitta, you can get two types of bodhicitta, right? What's one type of bodhicitta? Sugar cane bodhicitta, yeah? Sugar cane, because like sugar cane, when you chew it, it's sweet, but it's hollow, right? So it's like a pretend bodhicitta. And you actually need that to develop the second one. The real bodhicitta, the depth of really experiencing and having inside of you, growing it, this experience in your heart, which spontaneously wants to free other beings from samsara because they must be going through the suffering you're going through. This deep love for them, when does that happen? When do you get it?
Directly after the direct perception.
Our homework says otherwise. I had a question about that actually.
Yeah, it says that you can get, you can see emptiness directly. You can be a bodhisattva before you can see emptiness directly. And I think that's, I should check the readings, but I think that's talking about the sugarcane bodhicitta, yeah, rather than the real bodhicitta. Because until you have the experience where you, but maybe I could check further before I talk. Yeah, but same thing. I know. They say you can have bodhicitta. I'm assuming it means sugarcane bodhicitta before you can have a direct perception of emptiness, and it's probably likely that you could, like the dependent origination thing. You have this insight before you walk into a deeper experience. Thank you for that. It's good you're reading the homeworks. And then we talked about some benefits of having bodhicitta or being a bodhisattva. And I ran through them quickly. They're not there on the board, but let's talk about them quickly. The first one was your good deeds are a cause for omniscience. Yeah? Why?
Everything you do is a collection of merit.
Yeah, because then if you really have bodhicitta, then everything you do is imbued with this quality towards every living being. Yeah? And towards every living being, doing anything towards every living being, what would the equal and opposite result be? That you experience everything and every living being as something special. Right? It's lovely. So the next one, yeah, and so because your mind has that flavor, everything you do is got incredible power. the good thing and the bad thing about that is that because you can't tell who is a bodhisattva, then anything you do towards a bodhisattva, a being that has bodhicitta, has incredible power. And because you don't know who does or doesn't, then you should be careful. Because, and why is it? So is it, oh, they get special status, damn it, you know, they didn't. You know, what makes it special for somebody to have bodhicitta? You think about their activity on the planet, you know, and out of all the blah that we have in the world going on today, through the news and conversations and just general activity, most of it is samsaric, you know? Most of it has this motivation, which is this, let's just get something for me, or let's get some food, or let's get some sex, or let's get stuff that goes away. You know, most of the activity in the world is not aiming to shift the entire planet. Bodhisattvas, their motivation is to utterly transform this planet. So any kind of harm towards a being that is doing the only kind of activity that could ever possibly make any kind of difference on the globe has this power about it.
But don't you have to be really careful about assuming someone that's doing the blah blah isn't just an angel for you? We were talking about this beforehand.
What do you mean?
Like if you see someone, I don't know, someone who's like a photographer for a
Fashion.
one of those trashy magazines.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, someone who's like, you know, a paparazzi photographer, and you know, you say that's trashy and that can't be a bodhisattva, but maybe they're just there enlightening you.
Yeah. You start toggling in your mind between these extreme things. You have to be aware of the experience you're having. Nominally, I am experiencing this thing this way. Then you have to think with your intelligence, does that thing come from there? And we haven't done correct view in detail yet, but you have, with that knowledge, you have to bombard that experience with that knowledge, and then you have to choose how to act. Yeah? It's your second question, you got one left.
So,
Make it good.
so is it the power you're talking about? Does it come from my consciousness? How is that possible if I don't know if that person is bodhicitta?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, I don't like your question. It's good. See, in a way, learning these things opens up a dangerous doorway for you, because I just told you that that they could be, that anybody could be, and logically, you know that because you're not interpreting the world the way the world really is, because we're forced to interpret the world in a way that's skewed, then you really don't know. You know, there's an uncertainty about the experiences we're having until we have the tool set, and we haven't yet have the full tool set on how to deconstruct reality. So once you get an understanding of correct view in some depth, then you will know that regardless of how the scary person appears to you, screaming or the rest, you know where that must come from, but because of the ultimate nature of that thing, they could be anything. You know, so when you put them together, then it's quite feasible for you to be seeing a paparazzi photographer, experiencing them as a waste of time, having to do some action that nominally fixes that waste of time, whilst keeping in your mind the potential that that being could actually be somebody teaching you something that can really get you propelled into another experience. But we're not there yet, you know, so we're just getting the building blocks for the foundation. I love that you have those thoughts already, because it means you have a mind that's actually questioning and breaking it down. And that's what it should be. It shouldn't be, oh yeah, okay, let's do that. Yeah?
So earlier we said that the two bodies of the Buddha, that the collection of merit caused the physical body, and the collection of wisdom caused the mind of the Buddha, which would be omniscient. But here we're saying your good deeds, your merit, leads to omniscience. So that's sort of saying that, right, that's this benefit here. And is it because you're doing it with wisdom?
Good. I didn't see that connection when I did the study. Let me think through that. If you have bodhicitta, your deeds are a cause for omniscience. It must mean that you have an imbued state of mind. I can check, but that would be the logical way for me
You're
to
doing it
think
with
through it.
wisdom.
Yeah, because it's permeating your whole mindset, and every action that you do has that mindset. Yeah, so that would make sense to me. But I could check.
It would seem like if it was the true bodhicitta, the deep lasting, and only want to get direct perception
Yeah.
of emptiness, you would have had to use
You would
wisdom
have
already.
to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but the reason I refrain from answering that is because it could have been, if it's sugarcane bodhicitta, then that can't be the case. But, it's worth investigating. Yeah, thank you. Last week, we're still on last week, which we didn't do, right? So, damn it. Let's go to number 2. The other benefit of getting bodhicitta was you're a person worthy of being bowed down to by humans and gods. And then we talked a little bit about that. Why would that make you worthy of being bowed down to? Is it that you want to be bowed down to? No, right? What is it that makes you worthy of being bowed down to?
It's a stage of
It's rare.
Hmm?
Because it's rare.
It's if in your heart you have, if we're talking about true bodhicitta, and in your heart you have a realization of really how the world functions. You know, yeah, you are in tune with the code of the matrix. Not only that, you know how to fix it, yeah, and you have the wish to, yeah, because you might be able to see the code and then be an evil. I don't know if you can, but you actually have a wish to help other people.
So is it the purity of your intention to do good with what you know?
That makes you the holiest being on the planet. You know, A, you can see the code, and B, you want other people to see the code you just saw. That makes you the holiest being on the planet. A pleasure being in the Buddhist iconography of the wheel of life is just somebody that's had incredible good karma. It's all pleasure. It's a long, long time, but it's still samsara. It must still end. They get stinky towards the end, and they pop off. Yeah. So you are holier than them. Yeah. So that makes you rare. Whether you're going, whoop, good on you. Number 3 was you outshine hearers and solitary realizers. Do you remember that? Did I say that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, self-made Buddhists. These are beings who have seen emptiness directly. So you're holier than them.
Because you have the greater scope. Isn't that Hinayana teaching though?
Yeah, good. Mm-hmm. Thank you. The next one was the tiniest good deed is a Mahayana Dharma.
Done by you.
Yeah. So the tiniest good deed that you might do makes it a Hinayana Dharma. If you have this bodhicitta in your heart, right? Mahayana, sorry. This would be like giving even a tiny scrap of food to a bird without this wish in your heart, without this thing coloring your entire mind. Yeah, without that, giving food to the most needy person on the planet would be less than having this mindset and giving a tiny bird that scrap of food. The next one is, I'll go through them quickly so we can actually start class. The smallest activity is that of a bodhisattva, and they're very similar, right? And here they talked about the universe shaking when somebody gets bodhicitta. I don't know what else to tell you about that for now. The sixth one is you are considered to be a son or daughter of the Buddhas, so they consider you as part of your family. The seventh one is the other bodhisattvas, other beings who have had this great realization, this deep compassion, can actually walk around the planet with this wish to free everything that's suffering. You are considered their brother and sister. The eighth one is you are actually Mahayana. You have entered into the Mahayana path. Means you are a vehicle of great capacity. Means you can take on the world. You can actually influence the world. You are Mahayana. And the ninth one, which is what will get us started on this class, is that you can become a Buddha in one lifetime. You can become a Buddha in one lifetime. So this was the list of 9 benefits of being a bodhisattva. But think about that 9th one, okay? And don't conceptualize it that we're learning Eastern philosophy and these words of bodhicitta and Buddha and correct view and the rest. Think about it for you. In your world, in this world, with your mom and your sisters and brothers and family and work people and the humans on the subway and the dogs and the cats and the crawling insects on the planet. Think about it that way. Yeah, to become a Buddha, to become enlightened, to wake up to the code that forces this experience on us, that we're forced to experience. If you can figure that out, with utter and complete certainty, and then be able to manipulate that to have every experience be free from suffering, to actually enter the implication here, number 9, that you can become a Buddha in one lifetime. To become a Buddha, you would see and have every experience a paradisical, I was going to say paradisical, lucky I'm dyslexic, yeah? Paradisical experience. Sitting here would be complete and utter bliss. Every movement of the fan would be the most magnificent sensation on your skin. And you would feel that bliss for everybody else. I'm probably not describing Buddha very well. But whatever you can imagine that experience could be, must have been caused by something. Yeah? And in the secret teachings of Buddhism, in Tantra actually is not something you go seeking, like you've come into this room and you go, hey, teach me the 3 principal paths. Tantra is an experience that occurs to you because of great virtue in your mind and your heart. You begin to experience the world in a paradisical way, and beings that might have once been annoying beings, like my dad, become angelic beings that have always spoken to you in code, giving you an insight on how to shift this world. And it's not something you pretend, and it's not something you force. It's something that appears, just like the fragrance of a flower appears to you. It's like it seems real, right? Like when I throw the brick, it hurts. It's that same thing. When you can't help but see a being as an angel. When that happens, you've entered quite naturally the world of Tantra. And we can't talk about how that happens in detail, or how to really ramp that up. Because if we did talk about it, it would just... people would be really upset. But to become a Buddha in one lifetime means you have one doorway out of here, and that's having to force that experience of Tantra. And for the little or the some that you understand of the karmic principles, it seems quite logical that if you're going to have everything on this planet become a blissful thing, if this became a paradisical thing, and beings around you became angelic messengers of bliss, for you to have had everything appear to you as blissful, the only way you could have ever caused that using karmic logic is for you to have done something amazing towards everything and everyone on this planet. Your mind must have been planting seeds, covering that hillside, doing the honey Barbara, love letter that took 20 years to arrive, towards every existing thing. For you to experience every existing thing as that. So it's and this is the most beautiful thing, the most exciting thing about this ninth benefit. You can achieve enlightenment, an experience, a tantric experience propelling you to Buddhahood of this lifetime, in this lifetime, if you plan the courses. And it makes sense that the courses is bodhicitta. Because if you have this mindset, this colored mindset, that every being you experience, you wish for them this magnificent thing, then you must experience that back. If you do it for every being minus China, it's not quite going to give you Buddhahood. Minus Texas. So it makes sense, from a logical standpoint, that karmically, the only way you will have a tantric experience in your lifetime that is forced upon you is if you start coloring your mind with everything you experience, every shitty experience and good experience, you must see it in a certain way. You must develop this bodhicitta. Otherwise, you're going to have just normal results like we have now. Some people have magnificent results where they experience 90% of their experience in the world as blissful. But then 10% sucks. Yeah? That makes us human. Does that make sense? That's the most exciting part about this list of 9, is that it is possible and it makes sense that you can have an incredible transformation of your current experience. It should make you smile. Or sing. Should we take a quick break? And then we'll do the list of... There's 2 main ways to actually get bodhicitta in your heart. There's 2 main ways that they say guaranteed you can get it. We'll cover one of those 2 ways, and that's on that side, and we won't cover the first of the 2 ways, which is say Dakshin, Namje. And we'll talk about that after the break. Anyone have a commercial break?
Yes.
Okay, let's hear the commercial.
Please sign in, because there wasn't a sign-in sheet when you walked in on this beautiful scribbled list, and then there will be an ACI donation